Page himself made a great century. But O'Sullivan was just outstanding in all departments, so quite a task for Jiahui, but we know what he's capable of from his run to the World Championship semi-finals and within 2 frames of the final back in April. All tables available on Discovery Plus. And whoever wins this match will be back this evening in a bid to get to tomorrow when we go up to the best of 9 frames. It remains the best of 7 this afternoon. We've already seen world champion Luca Brissell, who produced that record-smashing comeback against C in the semi-finals in Sheffield, go through.
First frame.
Who is going to join him in the round of 16? What a match in prospect on this 4th day of the English Open. World semi-finalist Jiahui against 7 times world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan. Neil Folds is alongside me, and Neil, this is their first meeting. This match promises a great deal given what C produced at the Crucible and what we saw Ronnie O'Sullivan produce yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been fascinating to watch Jiahui this season and what he achieved. Crucible, he played some, well, spellbinding stuff actually. I mean, if you think back to how he started, there was all this talk of him playing Sean Murphy, and it was the repeat of the thing that Murphy said about him being an amateur. At the time he got the semis and led Luca Brissell, was speaking about another qualifier being champion, the youngest ever world champion. All these things were being bandied about because he was playing so brilliantly. Of course, he lost to Luca, having led by 9 frames. But some of the snooker he played in that semi-final early stages was just mesmerising. Now he's up against the master, so it's a mouth-watering clash.
Let's not forget that C was the world number 80 when he arrived in qualifying for the World Championship.
I think what you can say is that players can improve very quickly at this game. They're young and doing all the right things. But like I say, this is a different ball game today. He's in trouble already here. Yesterday we saw Ronnie O'Sullivan gave a bit of a lesson in how to play the game to another terrific player, Jackson Page. Looking to hand out the same here. Whether it's simple as that remains to be seen. There he is. Looked good yesterday, really good.
Oh.
I think he felt that there was no obvious safety shot there, so he may as well go for a pot.
Possibly better that cue ball found the pocket there. If it had caught the jaw and come back towards the reds, O'Sullivan would have been banging. As it is, he's got a very makeable long red in any case. And his long game yesterday was one of the features of his performance.
It really was. I mean, it was absolutely at the top draw. Long range. Already, that's something that he would have just gobbled up, I think, immediately. So today is a different day. Just need to push it onto the red a little bit, hit it on the thick side.
One.
C is here courtesy of wins over Alex Ursenbacher 4-3 and Fergal O'Brien without dropping a frame. At the World Championship in qualifying, he beat Tom Ford, a ranking event finalist last season, and then Jordan Brown, who won the Welsh Open, of course. And that dramatic victory over Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final. That was just to get to the Crucible. Then the match with Murphy, which was outstanding. Murphy played well in that match, and we know he had a great season all round. He made 3 centuries, but C won it in a decider. Then he defeated Rob Milkins, another one of the players of last season. Then Anthony McGill in another decider over 25 frames.
7.
His potting was quite brilliant throughout, but the nerve he showed at the sharp end of those matches was so impressive, and then it looked for all the world as though he was going to the final before Luca Brissell's extraordinary comeback from 9 behind in the semis.
Yeah, we know the talent is there because we've seen it firsthand. Now we've got to take it to the next step. I think he's got to try and win something.
15.
Plenty of Chinese representation still in this event. Half a dozen players still involved last night. Close of business. Because when we left the studio yesterday, it looked like Graham Dott was going to be in there as well, as Scotsman was 3-0 up and 70 in front in the next, but somehow Ricky Walden turned that whole thing around and beat him about an hour and a half later.
90.
So this game, you never quite know what you're going to get.
Walden winning that decider on the final pink. He said afterwards it was the best comeback of his career.
20.
It's not a bad shot. He's a little bit low, but not bad. This black, he's played the last shot pretty well. Well, he's nicely in behind a couple of reds here. I think the other thing about this match, which is nice, it's a generational clash, isn't it? The man who'll be 48 in December, O'Sullivan, the greatest of all time. Looking at the young talent emerging through, and we've been waiting for something another world for quite some time now. And now we've got a 21-year-old who looks the business.
47.
It was his cool demeanour throughout the championship in Sheffield that was so impressive. Not fazed by the quality of opposition
48.
he was faced with. In fact, it inspired him.
Just a bit straight here, just a slight angle. Punch it through. It's okay. Red to bottom of the 4 is available.
53.
I think the word phased is something that is often associated with players up against O'Sullivan.
54.
Young players are often a little in awe of him. Something that's gone on for years. You can go back to the days of Ray Reardon. Players were a little bit in awe of him, and then of course the same to Steve Davis, Stephen Hendry. A lot of them are beat before they start. I'm not saying that'll be the case here, but I'm sure it won't be.
61. 62.
Nice shot. Well controlled on this quick table. He's already at the point where it's virtually his. Needs to put another red following this black. Sullivan was in first. Ian off. Getting a very gettable red at range. And this will be
70.
first blood to see Jiahui. And he's taken them in the minimum fuss.
O'Sullivan didn't miss a ball of consequence until the fourth frame yesterday against Page. And the long pots he was
77.
knocking in throughout that match were rather tougher than this one, but just caught it too thick and it's cost him the frame.
78.
What a composed opening this has been.
I'll tell you what he does do as well, Philip. He moves that cue ball back by just hitting it the minimum of
86.
pace. He just strokes the balls in and they just fly. Gets great reaction. And that is a sign of a class player, the timing of his little screw shots. So delightful. Very nice.
93. '94.
It's been an immaculate break. He went in off when taking on a tough long red initially, but O'Sullivan wasn't able to punish. And there's the century. What a start from the 21-year-old.
101.
His fourth of the season, 40th of his career.
101 in 20.
He's missed the red, but it doesn't matter. That's a sparkling start from Jiahui in his first ever meeting with the great Ronnie O'Sullivan. He makes a century for 1-0.